Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Buddies on Buddies, the show with two real life buddies talking about buddy action comedy movies. I'm Kenny Lane,
I'm Lucas Hill
and this is the Buddies on
on
Buddies show.
Buddies Video.
Woohoo! All right.
All
How
right,
you
yeah.
doing?
How am I doing?
Hmm?
Um, do you remember when we used to do stand up for
Yeah.
once, or maybe twice?
No, we did a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, but that joke. I don't know if I brought this up, but we'd come on stage and,
Mhm.
hi, how are you guys, Gerard Draper, doing today?
I remember that. Yeah, I think it stemmed from like tables when I'd be like go up to the table like, and what can I Gerard Depardieu do for you this evening? And always would bomb, but it would make us laugh later when I talk about it. So we decided to use it in the act and it at open mics, and yeah, not
No one
too well.
appreciated it. Yeah, it worked as well.
Nobody appreciated it.
I still might do it because I've been thinking about doing open mic because my friend's been doing it. So I've been writing
Yeah.
material.
I remember we did the improv at like 4 or 3, like 3:30, 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And it was all, no one was there. It was just all like, aspiring stand-ups. And no one would laugh at anything because no one wanted to give any props to anybody. So it's all dead silence for like, 2 hours or however long it was. And everyone has 5 minutes. And I went up there and ate shit horribly. And then you went up, and I think you did better than I did because you got one kind of laugh. It was, you said, most people buy their beds. I make mine. Was that the joke?
It sounds like something I would say. I was going for like that those one-liner comics,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like a oh, what's it? But anyway, yeah, and one gal went like, and that was like the biggest laugh I think
Huge
in like the
success.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge success. So
I also remember I heckled you and felt really bad about it like a year or two later when I understood a little
oh,
bit more about comedy.
oh yeah, but I expect nothing less than bringing you along. Like
Like I went off after you was like, that guy sucked, huh?
yeah. I remember another time I went with Jesse, our friend Jesse, and he just like, oh, well, I'll go too. I was like, you want to do like open mic? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it. And as we're going there, he's like, so what should I say? Like, what should you say? Like, come up with some fucking jokes, man. He's like what? And I'm like, what's the deal with stop signs? Nobody stops at them, And he wrote it down on this back of a Subway wrapper that he had just eaten the sandwich. And he gets up there. I did okay, actually. It was like one of my first times going. He gets up, he turns his back to the crowd and is holding his Subway wrapper up with all the stupid fucking non-jokes that I told him. And he kills. It really pissed me off.
Well, it's a subjective sport.
Yeah, I guess so.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Although I just started my CPAP last week.
Oh, you got the apnea thing?
Yeah, I got the apnea thing pretty gnarly, and Megan is getting a little done with it. Plus, it's actually, I guess, bad for you if you're a bad snorer.
It's horrible for your heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad for your heart. Actually, takes a couple of years off your life. So I got my CPAP. Kind of uncomfortable to sleep with. I started with a giant face mask thing, and you feel like Darth Vader, or you're like dying on some bed every night, and it's very odd. And then this week I changed like the nose one.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have this like thing to keep your mouth shut. You have to wrap around your head. So, I'm in bed, my glasses, and like this whole thing, and we're watching TV, and I'm trying to like talk to Megan, and it's just, and she's like, I like this.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're going to be around for a couple more years. You'll get used to it, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, the Buddies on Buddies show has to go on for another 40 years at least. So, yeah.
No, we're going to be around for a long time, I think. That the audience son of a bitch.
Shit. Thought I was gonna leave a good-looking corpse behind, but fuck no.
Good-looking cards. That was never in the cards.
Yeah.
Well,
how about you? How's things?
Oh, things are good. Just I feel like I'm treading water. I don't like this whole aging thing, like you with the CPAP machine and all that stuff. I even took a CPAP test, but I was mild, so they didn't give me a machine.
Mm-hmm.
But then I hear a quote like, yeah, you turn 40 and a couple of years later you turn 60. So I'm like, oh, great.
Well,
I
so
really don't want to die.
you're already
Let me
stressing
make
about
that clear.
60.
At my funeral, you make sure Lucas did not want this. He was actively against this.
I think you have a very healthy fear of death.
Yeah, I would
So
say
that's
so.
good.
No cliff diving for this guy.
Like you turned 40. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I'm 40.
When I was 18, I was like, I'll be dead by the time I'm 23, and that's fucking cool by me, you know. But it changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, then you just hold on for a strap. Well, it also like the years just start pumping by so fast when you get like, you fill out, so it's like it's 2022, like holy shit, oh my god, or like, this thing came out like 10 years ago. What? Like 10 years ago was so long ago when I was 20. Now it's like nothing.
Then your quality of life goes down because you're so worried about fucking death. You're not even like enjoying the years you have. You're doing everything to stay alive.
I like to see you in 20 years. You're just going to be on a full-born panic like all the time. Like it's coming. I can't escape it.
You know, like any like muscle spasm or anything. Like this is it.
Mm-hmm. This is it.
Like, Fred, yeah.
Yeah, you have a little like indigestion. It's over.
What are we doing this week?
This week we're doing the 1986 Columbia Pictures release Armed and Dangerous, starring John Candy and Eugene Levy, and directed by Mark L. Lester.
Okay, before we get into that, you want to talk about anything else you watched since the last time we were on this thing? When was the last time we did this?
It's been a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been 2 weeks exactly.
Yeah. It's been a little while. Well, I was trying to actually think before we started taping and like what I watched besides Armed and Dangerous, and Megan and I have been traveling a lot, like going camping, seeing friends, relatives, and stuff. And the weekends, I haven't actually watched anything like in the last couple weeks I could think of, at least even worth talking about or anything.
What about television? You watched the new? Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's going to be.
Well, I think I watched a couple like mediocre documentaries on Netflix, like that Woodstock '99 one, and it's one. Yeah, another one about that guy who invented McAfee, whatever, who's accused of murder.
Security thing. Yeah, he's all crazy.
Yeah, whatever his name is. Yeah, I watched that. They both were kind of okay documentaries, not that great. But the only thing I could think of actually was when we were staying at a motel up in Bellingham last weekend. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Mm-hmm. But I really liked that movie when it came out like 5 years ago. I hadn't seen it since, but I liked it again watching it. But I watched it on like basic cable, like USA or TNT or one of those fucking things, and I hadn't seen a movie on cable like in real time with like the commercials and shit in forever. And it went on for 3 hours with the commercials, so it was a good probably like 45 minutes to an hour of commercials for that thing. I would say it's not worth it even watching a movie on TV, and I can't believe like that people actually still do that. If they do, like I haven't had cable in like 10 years. When was the last time you watched like a movie in real time on TV?
Like when I visit my parents' house, but even then, like they at least have cable, so I'll like start something,
right?
A commercial hits, I'm gone.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know how people do it. I think it's just poor people, I guess, right?
Not poor. I don't think poor people do. I think poor people pulled the plug on, because I was poor as fuck, and I pulled the plug on cable like 10 years ago. I'm just doing Netflix and Prime, and I'm not going to worry about all these cable channels that I don't even care about.
Or
I think it's just old people.
Don't give a shit. People who are never going to watch a podcast like Buddies on Buddies, they don't like give a shit that much about people.
Well, I get the people that still watch like late night TV, like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff, and still watch the evening news and still watch, prime time. I can't remember the last time I watched like a prime show.
Athletes and stuff like that probably do,
I don't know. Yeah.
Like travel and have to spend time in hotels.
Maybe, but I just know cable TV is still a big thing, but I just don't even know why people are even bother with commercial television anymore at all.
A lot of people get that cable TV in this is probably a boring subject, but like bundle their phones now. So they get this one plan. So they just have cable TV and worry about one bill for their entire family or even themselves, and don't think about easier avenues and don't want a smart TV or even get what that is. Look, we're West Coast elites, okay? We're plugged in. We don't get this basic cable thing,
Yeah.
We don't watch.
Well, I guess so. I don't know why people would bother with when you have like instant access with all the streaming channels and you don't have to bother with commercials and shit. But anyway,
Well, that's what Kenny watched. Kenny watched some commercials.
yes.
And I think we educate a lot of people on how stuff works these days in regards to this table.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you watch?
Not a lot of movies at all. I was out of town as well because it's summer.
Mhm.
That's what people do during summer. I have been watching, and I'm really into the Expanse show. Like I'm really getting into it now. Third season.
Expanse?
Yeah, the sci-fi show that's on Amazon. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know anything about it. Yeah,
I read the first book, started watching the show because the books got repetitive, but the show's awesome. It's really like picking up.
it's called Expanse.
The Expanse, yeah, it's probably the best
Expanse?
sci-fi show in some time. I suggest it.
Wow,
I don't know if you
I
like it,
never heard of
but
it.
it's
Yeah.
great. It gets complicated. It's often
Huh.
called Game of Thrones in space, but it's way more action-packed than Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, speaking of Game of Thrones, are you watching like the new Dragon Game of
fuck
Thrones
yeah,
show?
yeah. Are you watching it?
How's that? No, I didn't never really like Game of Thrones, so I never watched this one.
You're not gonna like this one. I enjoy it. Paddy Constantine
Yeah.
is like the main character so far, and I love him. So
Hmm.
it's great seeing him as like the king. And
Mhm.
I'm enjoying it. There's no big characters that I really latch onto like Game of Thrones did so well, but so far I'm enjoying it. I like the world. I like politicizing and maneuvering and stuff like that.
You
It's-
love incest? I know you love incest,
love
so it's a big
incest,
incest
baby.
show. Yeah, that's where it kind of lost me. Like dragons and incest. I don't know. I don't feel like it.
Incest wasn't even popular on the internet until I took it.
Until you said, "Hey, watch Game of Thrones," and then, but no, I will say that you were a big Game of Thrones fan way back when the books came out and stuff like that. You were big into it.
I got
way
into
before.
early, way before a friend got me onto them, and then I was like pitching it to everybody I met. You got to read Game of
Mhm.
Thrones. You got to read Game of Thrones because they were so.
Yeah,
good.
I even tried to read it back in the day because you were like pushing it and just all the different families and names, and I was just like, is there going to be a test later? Like, fuck,
I get that,
Yeah.
but they were good books. It was nice to see them finished, but I don't think they were. I hate online when people bring up anything George R. R. Martin, 'cause he hasn't finished the series, hasn't had a book come out in like forever. Like
Uh-huh.
he's never gonna finish him. That fat guy's gonna die first. And like I've given up hope. Fuck him for even writing these if he's not gonna finish them. It's like Jesus Christ, he's just a man living his life.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't know.
Have you never heard about entitled fandom?
Yeah, it's the most. It's hilarious and it's everywhere. And if I were him, I'd be like, fuck these guys. I would write the shittiest last couple books like that.
Yeah,
Cuts
well,
everything I've built just to fuck that fandom.
the extreme love hate people have with with creators and stuff is hilarious. I remember that documentary came out, like The People versus George Lucas. It was like before even the new ones came out. It was like Star Wars fans. We're mad at George Lucas. It's like, you do realize that Star Wars would not even fucking exist without George Lucas, right? He is the creator of Star Wars. And it's like, no, he ruined it with Jar Jar and blah blah. It's like, fuck, what are we talking about?
Yeah, when they separate the humanity of the creators, everybody's human, and people forget that. And they put them on this pedestal. Like it's like arguing with God. Why'd you do this to me, God? You know, God's a God.
Well, Jesus, yeah, it's a guy. It's not fucking God. Like oh my God, it took a wrong plot twist. Holy shit! Let's fucking get the torches and pitchforks out.
George R. R. Martin's some fat old guy who's into D&D living in fucking Santa Fe. Relax. He doesn't.
Right.
Anyway, it's funny. Reminds me of our fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have some hardcore psycho fans that really are. You guys jumped the ship jumped the shark at Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. We're never fucking coming back. Fuck you guys.
You don't focus on the movies anymore. You talk too much about your personal lives.
I'm getting a CPAP and it's not fucking working. And fucking get back to the fucking funny. God damn it.
All right, the movie we watched was Armed and Dangerous. I believe it's my turn to do the plot, right?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
A lawyer and a police officer each lose their jobs at their respective profession and are forced to become security guards where they uncover a conspiracy that moves higher up than they could ever imagine. Armed and Dangerous.
Sure. Does it move up that much? It's just their union fucks them. But
every time I do the plot, you have notes. I don't it's Armed and Dangerous.
More than I could possibly imagine, all the way to the White House. Well, not really. It's
Fire falls from the sky.
It's Yeah, it's their union representative, but okay.
I don't think so. But we'll go on. What did you think of Martin Dangerous? Have you seen it before?
I had seen it before. It was one of those like movies that came on HBO as a kid a lot. When I'd watch, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I want to see that one again. Watching it again. Well, the first scene. We should talk about the first scene. It's another one of those I think was shot later and tacked on because John Belushi, cop doing patrol, pulls over. There's this little girl crying. Did I said John Candy?
You said Belushi. Anyway. It doesn't matter.
Whatever. No, whatever. They're all the fucking same. No, sorry, John Candy.
That John guy. Okay, Jesus
Christ. I love John Candy. I'm sorry. But my cat's up a tree. Can you go get And he climbs up it. He's like, he looks down. He's like, whoa! And then he gets stuck in the tree. And then the cops and firemen have to rescue him. That's the big joke, I guess. So his character is like nervous and freaked out. But well-meaning, but not kind of bumbling. And then he's never like that again. The rest of the fucking movie. Yeah. So that was a horrible. That's why I think it was just tacked on later.
I think that I don't want to get to too many details so quick, but who gives a shit? What the fuck? I think he's completely miscast in this role as like the cool. Really? Yeah, because he's like cool, sarcastic. He's the pussy hound. It just doesn't really fit John Candy, who's much better as the hi. Shit's happening to me. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, this was produced by Brian Grazer, who produced Splash, and Splash was like his kind of breakthrough. But in Splash, he played Tom Hanks's sleazy brother. Mm-hmm. So that was like his breakthrough movie. It wasn't until later with like Uncle Buck and Great Outdoors and all this stuff that he became like the nice dad or uncle.
So that became kind of groove. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he kind of found his groove because he was still kind of coming off SCTV, so he's still kind of figuring out what he was doing. So around this time, yeah, you look back, you're like, he's not really the badass guy, but that first scene I thought was just really bad character inconsistency for the movie, and not a very good character introduction at all as far as writing and stuff goes.
But overall, what did you think of the movie?
Overall, I think that it was okay. It was well paced. The gags fell flat time and time again. Really poor, tired stuff, spit takes. A lot of the gags just didn't lead anywhere. I was like, that's it. That's the gag. But the worst crime that we did was it just wasted this really great cast. I mean, you got John Candy, Eugene Levy.
Insane cast.
Yeah, you got, James or Jonathan Banks as the
Mike from Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Mike from Breaking Bad as Mike from Breaking Bad is one of my favorite TV characters of all time. You have him and Brian James, who's been the henchman in a bunch of these movies, some we've already covered. As the bad guys, you got Kevin McMillan, who played the chief of police in Partners, who's the best thing about Partners. Robert Loggia, you got Tiny Zeus Lister in small parts. You got a cameo by Tito Puente. You have all these people, and just didn't really add up to much. I mean, what did you think?
Oh, I didn't like it at all, but it wasn't as bad as a lot of the movies we've seen.
It wasn't.
No. It's par. It's a par little. It's not horrible. It does some things really bad from a story standpoint. First of all, John Candy wasn't even in the climax. He's in with the trucker the whole fucking time. Very questionable to have a buddy cop movie where one cop, the main character, isn't even part of the action. He's just trying to catch up to the action. Very weird. The trucker was the funniest part of the movie. Whoever the fuck that guy was, I thought he was
trucker.
Yeah,
that is Don Shroud, who what's that? Yeah, I don't know if you know him from anything else, but we mentioned The Stuntman, that movie from Richard Rush that directed Freebie and the Bean, and it's kind of like a low-key classic. He's the lead in that movie, The Stuntman. I think you would actually really dig that movie. So if you want, he's like, I thought that whole scene was hilarious. And I get what you're saying about John Candy's not even really a part of that, the actions, but he has his own kind of action sequence with that whole crazy truck smashing through cars kind of thing. But yeah,
nothing to do with the story. There's no stake. No. It's so fucking weird and poor story structure, even for a movie of this nature. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. I have more notes, but no, I did not like it. Was it the biggest chore in the world? No. Here's my question to you. Here's my big question.
Sure.
Is John Candy funny? He's charismatic. I love him. Everybody loves him. He's a big teddy bear. Is he funny?
Honestly, I've asked myself the same question. He can be funny. His Orson Welles impression on SCTV, very funny. But yeah,
Trains and Automobiles, very funny.
yeah, but when I think about him, he mostly comes off as like the kind of lovable dad uncle character. A lot of times based on in The Straight Man, like Great Outdoors and stuff. And but he's not like this hilarious, like John Belushi, just this hilarious big guy, kind of maniac or really.
Another question.
It's like a dad type thing,
funny? Is John Belushi funny?
John Belushi's fucking funny. If you ever watched the Luck of the Irish bit on Weekend Update, he's fucking hilarious.
That's drop dead funny. But other than that, comedy ages poorly too. So what do we know?
Right.
Back at it and going, I don't think John Candy's funny. I think he's great, and I love to see him in anything. But he's not.
He's
dynamo.
The movie, camera, I think, like, loves him. He's got a good presence. He's got a good positive presence. But yeah, as far as like people that crack me up, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a very funny movie. He's pretty fucking funny in that.
Yes.
So if I had to pick one Candy funny movie, I'll go with that one. But
I'll throw in Dirtball. He's funny in Home Alone. Yeah. I know it's just a cameo, but he's pretty funny.
He's got some funny like throwaway lines and stuff, and it's okay. But so I'm not saying, but like he's definitely not one of the guys like I grew up with, like, oh, John Candy, he's hilarious. I think it's a Canadian thing. I think like that's
funny.
Canadians are hilarious. That's like Canadians and Jewish people, like the funniest people on the planet. Who?
Nathan Fielder. Do you think he's funny?
Nathan Fielder?
Oh, yeah. I've been watching Nathan For You or The Rehearsal. That's a big show.
Oh, yeah. I've seen Nathan For You. Yeah. I like that part where he's like got the doing the Houdini trick and the thing's going to pull his pants down in front of children. That was funny.
You have to watch The Rehearsal. It's on HBO. It's his new show. It's all the talk of the town, baby. I can't believe you ever even heard of it.
Sorry, I'm out of it. I don't keep up with anything. I'm too busy watching movies that came out like 30 years ago. Just know what's hip and cool now.
Candy fighting the dogs was pretty funny when he starts fighting the dogs.
Yeah.
Gets attacked. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Did you find any other funny moments?
I'm looking. Candy beats up dogs and women and tortures a black guy in this movie. I noticed that. He punches the
women. A black guy?
Yeah, there's a black guy they're trying to get information from, and he like is violent towards him. Anyway, these are my notes.
I don't remember that part.
Another great chemistry right off the bat between him and Levy because they worked together for so long.
Yeah,
they didn't need
SCTV.
Time. They immediately like those guys are friends. You don't need a connection.
It wasn't like Spies Like Us where you thought they should. I thought they had the chemistry. The bunny factor in this I think works. I think you do go for them like or buy them anyway as buddies and stuff. Their characters though, the whole writing story just didn't. Like Eugene Levy's whole introduction as the lawyer with the stupid Charles Manson thing in the courtroom,
overacting like crazy, like
way overacting. Didn't buy that at all. Didn't feel real at all. And Eugene Levy is good.
He's a great mugger. He's a great mugger.
He's a great mugger. Yeah, he mugs really good. I don't really like mugging that much, but. The whole thing with him and Meg Ryan, did you buy that whole like?
No, I totally knew they're not going to let the fat guy get her. There's no way they're going to.
Oh, really?
They never let the
so they're going to go with Sex Machine Eugene Levy instead.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there was a producer who came in and go, "Can't let her be with the fat guy. Give her the Canadian Jew."
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much you read about this movie and stuff, but Mark L. Lester directed it, who I'm actually kind of a fan of. Mark L. Lester, some of his movies, I think he makes some great B movies. Some of my favorites, like Class of 1984 and Commando and Showdown in Little Tokyo and stuff. He never really crossed over to like big mainstream movies and stuff, but this was like one of his attempts when he's like, probably the height of his career and stuff. But Brian Grazer was on the WTF podcast with Mark Maron, and I think Brian Grazer at least partially directed this movie because they got into a big argument during one scene where Mark, it was the script. Mark, he wanted John Candy to call Meg Ryan a bitch. I mean, it was that like room they go to her house and saying all this shit and it's like just call her a bitch. And Brian Grazer was like, I don't think that's good for that character. I think it's gonna make the audience not like him. And John Candy agreed, like, I don't think that's a good idea. And Mark L. Lester got so mad he just walked off set. And Brian Grazer was like one of his first movies. He was like, oh shit. So he had to start directing the movie.
Great story. It makes me like Mark Lester even more.
Yeah. That's a great hill to die on, I think. Yeah.
Did you get this whole anti-union sentiment behind this whole movie? The bad
I
guys were
did.
trying to start a union, like fuck you.
Yeah.
We have to stop the union guys. Like they
Yeah,
were
I did. It kind of made me miss my dad because my dad was a huge union guy, and I had a little experience with the union working at the package department at Fox, and my experience was not good working with the union. So we would get into like debates about unions and all this stuff. I didn't necessarily think this movie was like anti-union. I actually thought that was kind of a interesting, plot kind of development as far as these kind of movies go. I thought it kind of had an interesting twist versus just be like drug dealers or something at the time, like in the 80s. So yeah, I that did have that kind of, I don't know if do you think it's like an anti-union movie? I don't know.
I don't think this movie was trying to get any message across, but it is
Mhm.
noticeable when they do something like that. Where I don't think it was, but it could have been. Who knows? Like who's writing this in the '80s? You know what the union
Yeah,
situation was like, whether it's the producers or the actual screenwriters or whatever, or
right. Yeah,
so they make them the villains in this movie. It's not unheard of. I just thought it was funny to see
right.
this in the movie of this stupid of nature, where even the whole even the whole like getting trained to be guards is so stupid and it happens so weird and
Yeah,
dumb like
yeah.
that.
I've been a security guard in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I will tell you the uniforms were actually kind of accurate, but none of the shenanigans, training, none of that stuff is anywhere near as exciting or funny as any of that shit goes down. I'm sure that's not a surprise to anybody watching this movie. So
And Zeus was in it. Wasn't expecting him. I didn't realize how old that was.
yeah, Tiny Zeus Lister, yeah.
And also to give you credit, it is an action comedy. There's no doubt about that. It's action and comedy of almost
Yeah.
equal measures. The action sucks.
The last
but
15,
there.
I wouldn't say it sucks, but I would say like the last 15 minutes, there's no mistaking that this is like a buddy action comedy.
What else do I have? And what's with the crazy bars in these movies? There's another one in this. Bars like that don't exist
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
A fucking
Tito
crazy bar in a buddy action.
Tito Puente doing his like mango thing too in the background. I thought that was a great cameo. Why are Tito Puente? Why are you in this movie? But whatever.
I love it. A lot of homophobia, of course.
Yeah. What about the old trans sequence? That whole stupid thing when they're hiding out in the porno thing, and they're like, but I always think that part's dumb when people always say like, they go to a closet like, come here, and then you hear like a thunk or something, and then they're just walking out in their clothes and stuff.
Well, I guess John Candy does that bit on stage, so he dresses like that woman.
Oh,
so they incorporate it into the movie.
Oh, that was what it is. Well, I was confused because like there's one thing to conk someone on the head, and it was pretty immoral just to ask someone to come here and then just like beat them up and knock them out and take their clothes. I was wanted to see that scene where they're in the little confinement, they're just like beating the shit out of someone until they pass out. But
Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, just fucking
just smashing the fuck out of them. And but also like John Candy's wearing all the makeup and shit perfectly, so like that must have taken probably like a half hour to apply. Like that not good verisimilitude right there, calling that out.
What is with the motorcycle outfit that John Candy has at the end?
What do you mean?
He has this whole thing where he gets on the motorcycle, puts on this costume, and the motorcycle dies. And then he's on foot and gets into the truck.
It goes for a little bit, but yeah, it's way too much build up for no payoff.
It's fucking so weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't think his outfit was. I think that I think that fit his character at that point. Like he just be this kind of on a mission and going with this crazy fucking old, motorcycle outfit. I don't know. That didn't bother me.
It's fun when it was at its silliest, when it was almost like a spoof, but most of the time it was just not a good movie. Not very entertaining.
Well, I just think all the
Levy, but he had to drop out.
Well, this went through like a lot of development hell as far as like in the early 80s. This again was developed for John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd at one point. And John Carpenter was attached to direct. And then that fell through. And then Harold Ramis, I think, was a writer from the very beginning. But then he, it got Brian Grazer resurrected it again. And he at that point he was kind of like, I don't know. But he stayed on as like executive producer as well. But then when saw the final product, he wanted to take his name off the whole thing, he claimed. And they didn't, they let him take his executive producer credit off, but he still had a co-writing credit, which he didn't like. So, yeah, just a lot of talent involved in this movie for it being not very successful. I don't know.
Circling back, where do you stand on unions now?
Where do I stand on unions now? I think unions protect good workers, and I like that. They also protect bad workers, which I do not like. And I think the unions did a lot of good for employees, in the 20th century. I think also they got a lot of jobs outsourced, and a lot of those jobs don't exist anymore because of unions. So that's basically where I stand on that. How about you? You love unions, I know. They're amazing.
Love's a big word because like most things in this world and humanity, it's something that starts off with a good idea that quickly becomes bastardized due to greed.
Oh, sorry. You like unions. Sorry.
What? I think they're a great idea. I like the unions that are trying to start for, fast food workers and stuff because they're not protected at all. And Starbucks, they need a fucking union. It's not going to hurt them. In the long run, it might, but for now, it could help. They get too powerful and they get corrupted. That's what always happens. Banks
always happens,
and now it's the world.
Yeah, I think if you're going to unionize anything right now, I think fast food workers and stuff like now's the time to do it when they're already paying them like $18, $19 to start at McDonald's. All this shit. But a lot of times, it can just be like, they'll just probably like, fuck it, it's too expensive. We'll just have that factory in Mexico or the Philippines. And that's why the factory jobs don't really fucking exist in America hardly anymore.
Would you work in a factory job if they did?
Yeah, if I was like a small town person and like, I'm working at a golf course right now. It's not like I'm just too snobby to work in a fucking factory. And you start at the, as a guy on the line, then you work your way up to foreman, supervisor, manager, all that kind of stuff.
All the movies I watch, but there's something romantic about a small town community that works in a factory. They get off, they're all making jokes, they're grab assing, flirting with the girl workers. They go drink some beers at the local place.
Sure.
Cigarettes, having barbecues. I'd do that.
Yeah.
I'd do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that job doesn't exist anymore. So, good luck. Thanks, unions.
Do you have anything to add before we get into our rating?
Well, let me look at my notes here. Well, I could talk about little things about like little idiosyncrasies about the movie. Like the music was terrible, the score was terrible, but that theme song, "Armed and Dangerous," that's a fucking earworm that's been stuck in my head all week, and I've been singing it at work, and people are like, I think they think I'm going to shoot up the place or something because I'm like, "Armed and Dangerous," just bringing the club.
I think that shooting up a golf course would be the worst place to shoot up, just because the distances.
Well, yeah, it's not very practical. I've gone over it in my head many times.
FBI's listening now. We're gonna get like
no, I'm just kidding. It's jokes. I love the place I work. I only have one gun. Oh, I have a gun now though. Did I tell you about that?
You did tell me that.
Yeah. My uncle Laverne gave a handgun to my mom to give to me because I don't have any guns. And so now I have a handgun. And when Megan and I took it out camping, I shot it, so it works and stuff. But it's just weird that like I didn't have a handgun before. I never even thought about it. I didn't care. And now I'm much more paranoid inside my house or my apartment than I ever was. I'm constantly thinking like someone could break in that window, but I grab it and I boom and shoot you. So I don't think it helps.
No, I don't think it does either. And the statistics back me up on that. But if you come across a Wolverine while you're camping, you're gonna be glad you had that gun.
Fuck yeah. When we were camping, like Megan was like, "Oh God, don't the gun, you're gonna shoot it." I dated a guy, he was into guns. This is fucking terrible. I don't like them. And then there was like some lights coming towards us in the distance, people like wearing those things like very off. And she was like, "Where's that gun at? Make sure it's like loaded. Make sure it's right next to you." Make sure she went from like, gun, I don't want it to like,
I'll tell you something about serial murderers and rapists who are scouring the woods for their prey. They wear headlamps.
Yeah. Don't joke about that. People are gonna think you're an actual mountain serial killer rapist.
They already have a pretty good idea when I walk into a room.
Like that guy fits this description perfectly.
So how would you rate this movie?
I would probably rate it like a gosh, because it was paced pretty well. It wasn't a slog for me. I
Right.
liked
It
all the
wasn't.
watching all the actors,
I
the
agree. It
character,
wasn't
like the
particularly
yeah,
boring. Yeah.
wasn't particularly boring. I liked that it was under 90 minutes.
Yes. I
That's
love that.
great. I always appreciate that. I love under 90-minute movies, especially getting older. I was like, how long is this shit? So yeah, and I like seeing the cast at work. Wasn't terrible. What was just I give it like a solid 2.5, I think, out of 5. That's probably maybe being a little generous, but that's how I feel about it. How
As
about
a
you?
buddy action movie, I think 2.5 out of 5 is fair. Because
Yeah,
it had the
yeah.
buddy chemistry, did have the action, it was quick and well paced, whatever. But as a movie, it's 2 at best. It's not a good movie. It's just
No, it doesn't work. And I think the director, Marco Lester, even said like he wasn't used to working with comedians. He doesn't really make comedies. And I don't you could kind of tell he doesn't know how to like, stage a joke or pay it off or
what
any of
even
that
a
kind of
fucking
stuff. Doesn't
joke is. Some of these things are like, is that
or what a fucking joke
funny joke?
is.
What the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah, that's the payoff, really. They just kind of like, whoa, zoinks, and they just kind of walk off, But it does move. There is good action in it. It's fun to watch these, guys work. And I like the charm of the old 80s like buddy action comedy thing. So yeah.
what did you learn from this movie? What did it make you feel? What imprint
Gosh,
did
what
it
did
put on your immortal soul?
my immortal soul? I think I'd mostly just remember that the trucker guy at the end just going like,
Oh, the show,
"Get
man.
in, Slim, let's do it," and just start like. And what I would do in that situation, I would be like, no, get out," or like that. But I almost feel like that would be just like so cool to like meet someone that if you're in a panic situation and they're just full blown your buddy, your friend, like we're going all the fucking way after meeting you for like 1 second.
And it's little under credited little scene where he goes, ask for his gun at the end. He's like, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Here you go. Like, woohoo. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I like that though. It's like because he just blew up his truck, fucked his job, smashed a bunch of cars, probably gonna get sued for everything. And he's just like, here's the gun. I like you. He's like, yeah, cool. You know, living in the moment, man. Not worried about anything.
Yeah, no, he's a beautiful character. Really saved the
Yeah,
movie. I guess what I
yeah.
learned and what Armed and Dangerous, the feature film from 1986, starring John Candy and Eugene Levy, directed by
Mhm.
Mark Lester, what that imprinted on my soul, what I took from it
Yeah,
is I don't think John Candy's funny, man. I think he's great. I don't think he's
yeah.
funny.
He's a great uncle. He's a great dad. Just I'd want him as part of the family.
Oh, and on my
Um,
softball team, what a
and
riot.
then yourself out as a coach, whatever, and just a good guy. Like he's like the best friend at work or something. But does he make you laugh? No. Well, okay. Check out his Orson Welles impression
I
on
have. I'd say,
SCTV. That's
yeah,
pretty.
we'll
That's
watch
pretty
that.
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty
okay.
funny. Yeah,
And a lot of the people from SCTV, I think it's a generational thing, but they don't do it for me.
yeah. Well, that's just like the early SNL. I think it's just going to be like a thing, a generate like people look back and they're like, "What the fuck?" I wonder if like in like more years, people are look at Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and be like, "The
Yeah,
fuck is this crap?"
probably.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't control that. All we control is our comedy, and
Hmm. And man, are we still kicking ass going through
no,
the
we really
years?
are. I think we
Yeah.
really are. Yeah, we're like Tom Brady. We're in our 40s. We got 5 more good years of top tier comedy.
Oh,
We're
is that
still,
at the 45? Is that's the cutoff? Then you're just fucking unfunny after that.
if you, yeah, yeah, we're not.
Yeah, you're dead. That's it. You're dead to everyone.
No, you're pro capitalism, right?
Yes,
I,
I agree with Winston Churchill. Don't cut me off right now.